Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is your brother Nafis Abu Zayd and Eesaa Abu Eesaa, inshallah ta'ala, my companion. And this is the last talk of our day of beneficial talk, inshallah ta'ala, our lecture known as How Do the Scholars, Past and Present, Understand the Usage of the Word Salafi. Alhamdulillah, this will be the fifth talk and last talk. And this talk will deal with the harm of not knowing who the Salaf are and to misuse the term Salafi. So far, alhamdulillah, throughout this lesson was beneficial. We covered the definition of the word Salaf, and we explained what the word Salaf was linguistically as well as legislatively. We also dealt with who were the Salaf. We brought the proof and evidence in the statements of the ulama pertaining to exactly who were the Salaf. Also, we covered the issue of dealing with, is it obligatory to ascribe oneself? Is it obligatory to follow the Salaf? And is it obligatory one have to call oneself Salaf?
No.
So we dealt with the evidence that it is obligatory that you must follow the Salaf. But is it obligatory to call yourself Salafi? Do you have to call yourself Salafi? We dealt with that in the statement of Sheikh Salih Fawzan, was very clear and direct. We're going to re-quote that statement in this talk too, inshallah ta'ala, just to bring it home. And also, last but not least, we also dealt with, is there a sect known as the Salafis? And according to Sheikh Uthaymeen, there is a sect that is known as the Salafis outside of the Dawah Salafiyah. And we dealt with that. And last but not least, we're going to deal with the harms of not knowing who the Salaf are and to misuse the term Salafi. So one of our beloved brothers in Islam, he had made a good, beautiful point. He said, لا يكفى عليك من يفعل أقلب من يتسمى بهذه المسمات من حزبيات وتعصب للأشخاص وجعل سلفية في أشخاص من يخالفهم فهو مبتدع ضال والله المستعان. He said that it is not hitting, like it's not unknown, it's not hitting to you. Some of the actions of those who أغلب من يتسمى, those who are very shadid in using the description for these particular names that we found, like Al-Athari, like As-Salafi, and other names too that are out there, from the different hizbiyat, different groups, and ta'asab al-ashkhas, and have blind fanaticism towards personalities, and making Salafiyah, the Dawah Salafiyah, restricted to personalities. Man yukhalifuhum fahuwa mubtada', and whoever opposes these particular personalities and these particular names or groups and qawaid or principles, then this person is an innovator, a mubtada', or this person is dal, he's ignorant, or this person is an ignoramus, or is a misguided,
or a
fool, or this person is someone who's definitely he's from the people of Hawa. And he said Allah's aid is sought. زيادة على ذلك تتبعهم لأوراط المسلمين فلم يسلم منهم العامي ولا العالم كبير. He said also, to add to that is that they follow the mistakes of the Muslims, and no one is safe from this, even if he be a commoner, a lay person, nor a major scholar. Wallahu musta'an, and Allah aid is sought from this. He said حتى أصبحت سلفية بشمولاتها ونقائها حزبا بسبب قبح الأفعالهم كما أنهم أصبحوا ينفرون مسلمين من أتباع منهج السلف باسم سلفياتهم نسأل الله تعالى الهداية. Subhanallah. So here he said that they have reached the point that the Dawah Salafiyya have become, according to them, according to these particular groups and stuff like that, that the in the nutshell, the comprehensive of it, the spreading of it, has become like it's a hizb, specifically due to the ugly or the repugnant of these particular people's actions. Just as أنه أصبحوا ينفرون مسلمين, just as they have started to chase the people away from, the Muslims away from, following the methodology of the Salaf, Bismi Salafitihim, also even taking the name Salafi. And we ask Allah Jalla wa Ala for guidance. هذا بعد كلام علماء في الموضوع. And then he's going to bring some of the kalam of the ulama pertaining to this particular topic. And then you will see why we call it a harm of not knowing who the Salaf are and misusing the term Salafi. Our brother Eesaa, inshallah ta'ala, will take it from here.
قال الشيخ عبد الله مطلق وفقه الله في محاضرة له بعنوان الفتنة أسبابه وعلاجه. He said, قال الشيخ عبد الله مطلق, he said that in his muhadira, in his sitting or his gathering of knowledge, with the name of the actual sitting was the tribulations, its reasons, and its cure. Its reasons and its cure. The Shaykh, he goes on, he says, يا أحبابي هؤلاء الذين يضيقون معنى سلفية. He said, oh my beloved ones, those who have basically destroyed or by them acting the way they act, have wasted the meaning of Salafiyah and showed it in front of the people in a way that is really not the actual picture or the way of Salafiyah. وَالَّذِينَ يَأْخُذُونَ بِالذِّنَّةِ وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَقْبَلُونَ تَوْبَةً. He said those who يَأْخُذُونَ بِالذِّنَّةِ وَالَّذِينَ يَقْبَلُونَ تَوْبَةً. He said those who they don't never accept the tawbah of someone. Like for example, someone makes a mistake and he comes and he corrects it. You don't find them accepting that. They won't come and say, oh, the brother changed his position. This happened to our brother. This happened to our brother Abu Zayd. Somebody may make a mistake or they think it's a mistake, and then they come and they say things and the person says, oh, I'm going to take that down. I didn't know that. I'm going to remove that. But they continue with the onslaught. They don't accept the tawbah. This is from the characteristics of these people. وَالَّذِينَ لَا يُنَاقِشُونَ النَّاسِ وَالَّذِينَ لَا يُنَاقِشُونَ النَّاسِ وَلَا يَنْشُرُونَ الْخَيْرِ. And these people, you don't see them spreading good, and you don't see them talking with the people and trying to bring benefit from the people. هَؤُلَاءِ يَضُرُّونَ Salafi.
So before he said that, when he said وَلَا يُنَاقِشُونَ النَّاسِ, nas here he mean they don't consult with one another as if tulab to tulab, scholar to scholar. Like they don't go and talk. As it was mentioned one time that one of the scholars have advised one of the particular brothers that he should go sit down with the brother that he might have an issue with and present his side, and he present his side. This is called a munakasha, which is something that is that is beneficial. When we want to give advice to one another, we should be able to sit down and talk and discuss. You bring your side of you with your evidence, I bring my side of you with my evidence, and we let the book and the sunnah be the hakim, the judge, and deciding between us. And this talk right here is a continuation of the previous talk, which was the last talk about is there a Salafi sect, because we see some of the harms that have developed from this group have developed into a group. So he said, "Wala yunakishuna nas." They don't. That's what he meant. They don't talk and consult with one another.
They just refute. لا ينشرون الخير وهؤلاء يضرون السلف أكثر مما يحسنون إليها. And these people, they don't spread any good, and actually these individuals, they harm Salafiyah more than they do any justice towards it. إنك لو نظرت إلى علماء من أهل السعودية كم هم. And if you look at the ulama in Saudi, for example, you ask them about the scholars in Saudi Arabia, you say, how many are there? يريدون فقط ثلاثة وأربع علماء. They're only going to tell you about 3 or maybe 4 scholars that you should stick to. They make it they tighten Salafi and they box it off into 3 or 4 different ulama. وَبَاقِينَ لَيْسُوا مِنْ Salaf. وَبَاقِينَ, or the rest of them are not on the way of the Salaf, the rest of the scholars. He said, ذِي مُصِيبَ عَظِيمَ يَا إِخْوَانِ. He said, this is a great tribulation and a great calamity. That Salafiyah now is only 4 scholars? 4? That's it? Subhanallah wa bihamdi. إنك إذا نظرت إلى علماء العالم الإسلامي الآن تجد أنهم عندهم في قوام محرفين. So if you will look at the scholars in the world of Islam right now, to them, if it's not the particular scholars they name, even though they may not say this, they see them as scholars who are not truly upon the truth. If it's not from the scholars they themselves ascribe to. And we see this.
This is a danger. We can't act like we don't. And we can't say that the ulama are not talking about it, because here the Sheikh is saying it. These are his words.
It's his words, not my words.
And this is actually going on. Sheikh Sulaiman al-Ruhaili, he said something similar. It's not permissible to restrict the dawah to 3 or 4 scholars.
Subhanallah.
You can't do that. There are more other scholars than 3 or 4 scholars. I mean, alhamdulillah, we got many scholars. We got many students. You can't just restrict the deen to that.
All over the world. إنك إذا نظرت إلى علماء الأمة الذين خدموا الدين أمثال ابن حجر والنعوي وابن قدامة وصاحب المغني وكتب النافعة وابن عقيل ابن الجوزي وجدت أنه عندهم مصنوفون تصنيفات يخرجونهم بها من السلفية لأنك وجد عليهم بعض الملاحظات.
SubhanAllah, this is severe.
He says that if you look at the scholars of the Ummah, those who have done a service for this religion, like the likes of Ibn Hajar, Imam Nawawi, Ibn Qadama, Sahib al-Mughni, or the different beneficial books from Ibn Aqil, Ibn al-Jawzi, you will find them in the home many works and books that were done. He said they take them outside of Salafiyah because maybe they found some mistakes in those books. They take them out the manhaj and say don't take from them.
Like even though we might have some deficiencies in terms of what we call the Ash'ari Creed, affected by some of that, but that don't mean you take them out of the the fold of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Even Abu Hanifa as well, Ibn Jawzi, Ibn Qudama might take a fiqh position that's different. Ibn Qudama, in his very small Muqaddimah, he mentioned in the book of fiqh, because he laid down levels. He got Muqni, he got Kubra, he got Sughra, he got different particular books that he laid down levels. And this is to show you from his fiqh that he takes the beginner student without mentioning any evidence, any call Allah, call Rasulullah, or any aqwal of the ulama and different opinions. He just give you the position. And in this position, he said that the beginning student, when he performed the prayer, he should place his hands beneath, tahta sirra. It should be below his navel. No one would dispute the fact that Ibn Qudama is from Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, and he did a great service to the Ummah of Islam, to the Islamic Ummah. The ulama, they recognize his works. But somebody now come along from amongst this group, and they would see something like this, and then other works that he might have, and there might have been some malahazat, some little minor mistakes that might be in conflict with the actual truth, and then it's as if it's no good with them, and then they take them out of the fold of Salafiyah. You know what I mean? They take them out of the fold of Salafiyah. I met an individual when I was in Mecca. We was driving in the cab on the way back to the airport, and this one particular individual, he was of the opinion that Imam Abu Hanifa wasn't from Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. He actually had a book, volumes from, he said it was from Sheikh Ahmed ibn Hanbal's son, Abdullah ibn Ahmed ibn Hanbal, that was refuting the likes of Abu Hanifa. However, the ulama, as I was telling him, I said, well, the ulama that we love and respect, they all explained that they still consider Abu Hanifa to be from Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. And yes, he did have errors. I mean, there's no one who's free of not having errors.
Exactly.
So the Sheikh is saying that you see that some of these people, what they do now, they went so extreme and so harmful that anyone that makes a mistake, and I want you to look at this because this is something similar to a group that have appeared. Not just Hadidiyya, because Hadidiyya is an offshoot of another group. I'm talking about from the earlier groups of Islam, there was a particular group that they were so keen on trying to stick close to the Sunnah that they didn't understand it, and they started making takfir. The Khawarij. And you got to be careful, because now when someone don't agree with your position, or they don't agree with your line of scholars, or they don't agree with your line of reasoning, you cannot make that a grounds now to attack their honor. They not make the grounds to eradicate the works that they already put forth. You know what I mean? Even now we got so many works, man, mashallah, that we all benefit. Riyadh Salihin, even now.
Explanation of Muslim.
Explanation of Muslim. Sharh Muslim. The book Al-Adhkar. You got 40 hadith. So many works. Tibyan al-Quran, Himlatul Quran.
Every Salafi got in this house, just about.
That you benefit from. So it's just that, just because you entered the realm, the Sheikh is saying that now it's a musibah, and we know it's a musibah, and that's why we're bringing this up, and it's going to drive it home, because it is a musibah, and we can't act like it's not. To the point that right now, many of us right now, we don't feel comfortable on mentioning the people that we listen to for knowledge these days. We don't feel comfortable. I mean, you won't feel comfortable. You say to a person, well, where you go at? You got to sit there and cipher through your mind. I don't feel like going into all this.
How you going to
say it? Because if I say I go here, then he's going to come with this. And then if I say I do that, then he's going to come with that. And then the sad part about it is that most of the people that you say you taken from are all saying the similar same things. They're just not working with the similar same principles that look apparently like they are.
Yeah.
Because there are the group of people that's working with the principles that are not the principles of Salafiyah. Because if they were, they would be more gentle with one another.
Yeah.
If they were, they would be more merciful to one another.
We'd be united.
If they were, they would have monarchism with one another. If they were, they will encourage the benefit of one another. Not like like it's going now. He continues.
As the Sheikh saying, you look at some of the characters he's mentioned, and this is going on overseas. This is the manhaj of the Haddadiyya. Find a mistake, he's out of it.
He's off it.
This is the manhaj of the Haddadiyya, not the manhaj of Ahl Sunnah.
He said Haddadiyya?
Haddadiyya meaning those who are severe, those who are shadeed.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If you make one mistake, two mistakes, then your Salafi is in question.
SubhanAllah.
Your adherence to the dawah is in question. And I want to tell you right now, brothers and sisters, that if you allow anyone to make you feel as though that your adherence to the Quran and the Sunnah is deficient or is in question, then that means your understanding of the Quran and the Sunnah is deficient. I want to say this again. If you allow anyone to make you feel as though your adherence to the Quran and the Sunnah is deficient, then that means your understanding of the Quran and the Sunnah is deficient. Because the only one who has the right to take you outside of that is Allah and His Messenger. And you have to make sure, as Sheikh Uthaymeen said before, that you adhere to the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and the Sunnah of the companions with one Allah Ta'ala alayhi.
No.
As long as you're sticking to these guidelines, you shouldn't fear the blame of the blamers. You shouldn't feel as though someone can take you out of it. No matter if everyone is telling you, yeah, such and such is in Salafi, such and such is in this. Because you know you're fearing Allah to the best of your ability, you're working with those principles that the Sahabas have laid down, that you're trying to take it step by step, then you should feel safe, and you should have yaqeen and certainty that you're doing the right thing, and you should let no one make you feel as though your Salafi is in question. No one.
And the Sheikh al-Mutlaq, he continues, Hafizullah, he said, هؤلاء الذين يضيقون معنى السلفية يسيئون للأمة. And he says, these are those people who have confined the meaning of Salafiyya and have done evil towards the Ummah. إخوتي في الله ولذلك أنظروا إلى سماحة الشيخ عبد الله بن باز رحمه الله. So my brothers, as he mentioned before, that those who have limited the meaning of Salafiyya and have done evil towards the Ummah, oh my brothers, he said, look at, ولذلك for that, look at Sheikh Ibn Baz or Sheikh Uthaymeen رحمهم الله. سماعة المفتي الآن موجود in the Mufti of Saudi Arabia right now, who's present right now, the present Mufti. كيف يتعاملون مع الناس؟ كيف يحسنون أخلاقهم؟ كيف يستقبلون طلب العلم؟ كيف يجلون علماء؟ He said, look at the scholars now. Look at Sheikh Uthaymeen, Sheikh Bin Baz, the Mufti of Saudi Arabia now, may Allah preserve them. He said, look how they dealt with the people. Look how they deal with the people. Look how their mannerisms were to the people. Look how they accepted, look how they dealt with the Talib al-Ilm. Look how they was there mustaqbilun. Look how when the Talib al-Ilm came, look how they opened the doors to him. Look how they dealt with him. And look how they honored the ulama. لكن هل هذا المنهج موجود عند هؤلاء? Do we see those mannerisms with these people now?
Yeah, we see people writing dissertations or writing refutations and talking about people that, scholars. I don't care if you follow the kalam of so-and-so against Sheikh Yahya or Sheikh Yahya kalam against someone. We're not here to defend anybody right now. We're making it clear. Sheikh Yahya is still a scholar.
Still a scholar.
Sheikh Muhammad Jabreen is still a scholar. We're not saying whether or not we follow them in their error. We're not saying whether or not we make tabdir of them or we do this. We're just saying you can't remove their scholarship.
No. You call them a fool.
And calling them imbeciles. Especially, you're not even their peers. You don't even hear their peers talking about them like that. Other scholars don't talk about them like that. And yet and still, you just come along and start talking like that. This is bad adab. And this is what he's saying. You're not looking at the adab of the ulama that we say we love and respect, like Sheikh Islam ibn Baz, like Sheikh Muhammad Uthaymeen. You're not looking at them, how they dealt with the people, like the Mufti. You're not looking like Sheikh Fawzan, like Sheikh Abdul Musid, like Sheikh Salih Ali Sheikh, like Sheikh Udiyan, like these scholars. Even like Sheikh Yahya al-Najmi. You like Sheikh Rabi', like Sheikh Ubayd al-Jabri. You're not looking at how they deal with people directly. How they deal with people. You're not looking at it. They dealt with people in a kind manner. Why? Because they took all of this from the manhaj of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa
No, they're not.
Ashabi.
They're not. Subhanallah. So هؤلاء ليسوا راضين إلا عن أعداد قليلة معدودة على أيدي من طلب العلم الذين يشتغلون في مجالسهم بأكل لحوم علماء. He said, you don't find these particular people, pleased with anyone except a small number of people that are limited, from some of the students of knowledge who busy themselves in their sittings with eating the flesh of the scholars. أحيانا يحملون كلامهم وما لا يحتمل بل أحيانا يكذبون عليهم. And he says, and sometimes you'll find them, they may use the speech of the scholars, and sometimes they won't, but rather you'll see them lying on the scholars. Right? You'll see them lying on the scholars. ليس في قاموسهم توبة ولا يقبل أحدا أوبة يضيقون هذا الدين. And he said that, you won't find them accepting the Tawbah of anyone, or accepting the mistakes or the return of anyone. They will never, ever accept that from anyone. You come up to them, you can go to a person right now who's upon that particular understanding and say, all right, I agree with you, and they still going to refute you. They're still going to treat you a certain way. And he says, excuse me, يضيقون هذا الدين, and they have limited this religion and boxed it off. ويفرحون بخروج الناس منه, and they're happy when somebody's on deviancy. Yeah, I've never seen this before in my life. Somebody's happy. I've never seen this from a scholar, that he's happy that somebody makes a mistake. Happy when you send a loaded question and the scholars say, all right, don't take from Fulan now because you gave him a loaded question. It's a celebration to see somebody astray or what you think is astray. You love to see people be talked about. You love to see people slandered. I've never seen the hearts this dark and this evil. ولا يفرحون بقبول أعذار الناس, and they won't accept the excuse of the people. وادخالهم فيه وترى هذه مصيبة. And he said they'll never accept the excuses of the people. Like you make an excuse to somebody, man, the brother misunderstood. Or maybe, this is the information the brother had. They'll never accept that. Even though if they were apply the same understanding on themselves, they would start refuting themselves. Because everybody's.
Well, what did the Salaf used to do? I mean, we claim that we follow the Salaf. The Salaf said, if I see my brother standing on the mountain saying, Ana Rabbukum, that I'm your Lord, he going to say what? I'm going to make excuse that maybe he didn't say that. Maybe he didn't make that words. He just made shirk with Allah. But he said, I'm still going to make excuse. With the Imam Dhahabi, what did he say in terms of making excuses of people who might have made errors? We say we follow the Salaf, but let's go look back and see what the Salaf did. Where's the excuse for your brother and your sister? You know this particular brother all your life. You know that this person, by his works that he's been calling to that which is correct. Somebody come along and tell you so-and-so had made a statement and is incorrect, and you just say, okay, no take from him no more, but you don't go back and defend him. You don't go back to defend this particular brother. And that's incorrect. That's an incorrect stance. This is not what we find the Salaf doing.
No. And the Sheikh, he says, انظروا إخوتي في دماثة خلق الشيخ عبد العزيز ابن باز والشيخ محمد العثيمين كيف كان مفتين لجميع الشباب العالم الإسلامي إن اختلفوا في أوروبا أو في أمريكا أو في أفريقيا أو في اليابان وإندونيسيا استراليا من يرضون حكما من يرضون تجدهم يقبلون عبد العزيز ابن باز محمد العثيمين فلان وفلان. And he says that look at the way that Sheikh Ibn Baz and Sheikh Uthaymeen dealt with people, right? All the youth from different parts of the Islamic world. No matter they was from what? Europe, America, Africa, Japan, Indonesia, Australia, right? Any of these places, you will find them accepting them. So and so and so and so. He said, would these scholars be pleased with these individuals? La wallahi. Ma yardunahum. Ha'ula la yakbalunahum. And he said, so you'll find that these individuals say they follow the Salaf today. They're not okay with the brothers from this place and that place. I don't know. And we had these situations. We had a brother from Indonesia, the Salafi events, the one in Indonesia. These brothers attacked him because he didn't agree with them. He wasn't from amongst them. Our brother from Indonesia. He was attacked. They won't accept anybody except from their group, their masjid, their town who's with them.
Their organization.
Their organization. Because we're actually from this town, but we won't be accepting a particular organization because we don't agree 100%. Like Sheikh Mobile said, you have to agree 100% with them to be a part of them. If you disagree in anything with them, then you're outside of that organization and you're refuted. And you're slandered and attacked. And this is their way. He says, إن ما ينتهجه هؤلاء ووفقهم الله وهداهم يضيق معنى السلفية ينفر الناس منها. And he said, we'll find that these individuals, that the end result of this, may Allah guide them, is that they have limited the meaning of Salafiyah and they chase the people away from it. ويجعل السلفية معنى ضيقا محدودا. And they have made Salafiyah a restricted meaning and limited to their particular group. أغلب عمله تكفير الناس وتفسيقهم. He said, and we find that most of the time they're doing what? Either making takfir of the people, removing people from Salafiyah, or calling somebody a criminal, or putting fisk on somebody, putting deviancy on somebody. وجمع أخطائهم وتشويعهم وسمعتهم وقدح في أعراضهم. And he said, and they gather the mistakes of people and the blemishes of people, and all we hear from them is always talking about people and the eating the people's flesh and speaking about the people's affairs and slandering people. That's all we find. All the time you see, if you think about it. Wallahi, is this not true? Whenever you see a class or a lecture being given, it's about who you can't take from, how to deal with a deviant. Walk across the street, you see a deviant. What's a deviant? What's an innovator? You're like, well, subhanAllah, where's this innovator? I live in Philadelphia. Where's this boogeyman? And all you find is all the class and all the khutbah is about this mentality of who's on it, who's off it, who's with us, who's not with us, who you can take from, what masjid, not a Salafi masjid, where you can go. We find no ilm being talked about, except the what? The backs and the flesh of the people. SubhanAllah.
No, we know that for sure, that we're not saying that no one don't call to the da'wah to Tawheed. We're not saying that people don't have connections with ulama. But like the scholars are saying here, and we find from their statements, they have described that this have developed, and Sheikh Uthaymeen have foreseen this 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And it's getting worse because what we're doing now, we're waiting for a scholar to say by name so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. People are sitting around waiting. Well, why the scholars are not naming them? Why the scholars are not calling this one out or calling that one out? Let me tell you, there's a principle that the ulama explained, and Sheikh Wazam was one of them. And when he was talking about khamr, no matter if they call it good spirits, good wine, or whatever, we know things by their characteristics, by their traits, right? Not by their names. They can switch the name up all they want. We know the characteristics. That's why it's important to always highlight and to clarify and to explain the trait and the characteristic of that particular thing, so that you can know it when you see it. No matter how many forms it come, you know that's what it is. So if you explain to a person this is what his biyah is, you explain to a person this is what it is by multiple angles, they don't care about putting a name on someone. And also another thing, if everyone keeps saying that the talks that you brothers are talking about seem to be directed towards a group of brothers, then it isn't our fault that you're thinking that. The problem is you need to admit to yourself, why are you applying it to those group of brothers, whoever you think they are? Because that must mean you just admitted that you believe that those brothers had those traits.
Exactly.
That's why you're saying that. But we're not saying no names, we're just saying characteristics, and we're hoping that Allah don't allow us to fall into those characteristics as well. Islam need to go back to knowledge and implementation. And it's unfortunately we're not learning knowledge and implementation. Yes, we have classes on the rules of Kitab al-Tawheed, but how many people really know what Tawheed is? Many duruses on Kitab al-Tawheed, and somebody cannot even explain to you on a layman level what is Tawheed. Many classes about what about this, but they can tell you for sure what masjid isn't upon clarity. It's a shame. They can tell you for sure what brother is not to sit with or talk to. It's a shame. But they can't tell you what are the obligatory parts of the body that you have to wash for wudu. They cannot tell you stuff that for your salat to be accepted. No. They can't tell you why is this or why is that. And this is a musibah. And the problem is, like the Sheikh said, a musibah is a calamity. And you're not looking at it because you're so busy with, I got to be in the in crowd. And everybody want to be the in crowd. I don't want to be the loser. I don't want to be put onto the side. I don't want to feel like I'm put out. You have brothers, by the permission of Allah Jalla wa Ala, that have the Lord blessed them with to sit for years with the scholars. Something that we beg. They sat 10 years, 12 years, 15 years with the scholars, learning this blessed religion. And they came back to teach, and you don't even open your door for them. You close your door for them because you want to believe everything that's said about them. Oh, so-and-so isn't Salafi. You can't benefit from him. And so this other student said about this student, and you take what he said like that. And that's wrong on your behalf as a layman. Because that student and the other student have a hawk on you.
Amen.
As a Muslim brother, they have a hawk on you.
No.
You didn't investigate the affairs, you just took it. People who sat for years. I mean, when do you ever put someone who don't have academics and they use this argument? Well, so-and-so is jahil. We shouldn't listen to him. He have no teachers. He haven't learned. But what about the ones that did learn? We can't take from them now because you know the catch-22? Oh, degrees don't mean everything. People who got degrees can still be upon bid'ah.
Subhanallah.
That's it. Degrees don't mean anything. So now we can't take from people who got degrees and we can't take from people who don't have degrees. Who can we take from? Oh, we only take from us because we're upon clarity. See? Only look at it this way because this is exactly what the Sheikh is saying. Mm-hmm. And this is the musibah we find ourselves in. Only take from those whom we deem that is upon clarity. So what about this man who got about 12 teachers? Who graduated not only from a secular college, but he also graduated from an Islamic college.
He got masters.
And he got masters. You can't take from him?
And all his teachers are from the Salafiyun. All of his teachers are from the well-known scholars that we all know that are upon the Sunnah.
I'm just saying you can't take from these individuals. You know what I'm saying? You have individuals telling you can't take from them, and it's a shame. And you basing your allegiance and your dissociation upon names. Many of you people don't even know who Tahir Wyatt is. Many of us don't even know who he is. And yet we got to still face the fact that someone is boycotting you because, you know, you don't take a position against them. Many people don't even know who, most people, I can't even say that because most people know who Muhammad Munir is.
Yeah, Mufti.
People know who Mufti is.
In New York?
Yeah, people know who Mufti is. But now they're making it seem as though they are well-known deviants. People say, well, them brothers, they're deviants. You say, well, what's their deviancy? Oh, they support the people.
You got to ask the brothers.
The people Hawa. You got to ask the brothers why. Why? Because what they meant is those brothers don't take a stance against Tahir Wyatt and Muhammad Munir Mufti. Is this even grounds enough to split? Bring me one scholar that brought any proofs to say that this is grounds enough to split. It's not grounds.
It's not grounds.
And if we don't address the issue, it's a problem. It's not grounds. Stop acting like you don't see the problem. You go up to Al Hadith right now and you go to their lectures. How many people there? How many people there?
Yeah, not that many.
What happened? You go back. Stop acting like this stuff is not there. The elephant is in the room. Stop trying to look for someone to blame. Stop trying to look for, this person is a bid'ah. If you really want to talk about somebody being a bid'ah, then let's all pull our resources together and warn against this fake masjid that they building down here on Broad and Glenwood, talking about it's a masjid upon this hawk from the people that got big billboards.
The Ahmadiyya movement.
The Ahmadiyya movement.
Which are not Muslims.
You want to talk about some real Ainiyya bid'ah? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about 45th Street. That there are people who claim Salafi who's willing to send their kids to that place. Because they lure them in. And they say Allah don't have attributes. They also say that Ibn Tyamiyyah is a kafir. Sheikh al-Albani is a kafir. That Allah doesn't rise above the throne. Let's talk about these people. But no, you want to talk about a brother who spent 10 years overseas studying with the scholars and he came back. We can't take from him.
What about the grave in Overbrook? It's a grave in the masjid.
It's a grave in the masjid.
They chanting and everything else.
So we have to stop it. And you laymen are keeping it going. That's the point. The laymen are keeping it going. One brother is telling another brother, the brother commented on the sister page. Wallahi, I couldn't believe it myself. I thought it was a joke. The brother commented under the sister page, if you're not taking from Somali, you're not taking from Somali or from his khutbahs or going to his classes, then you can't be upon Salafi. You're not a Salafi. Wallahi, I couldn't believe I read it.
And if he's giving a class, you can't go to another class. Another class can be given if he's giving one. This was the statement.
I couldn't believe I read it.
This is where we are.
This is where we at. Another brother said, okay, I didn't know who Hamza Abdul-Razak was. He just gave the khutbah down in Germantown. I didn't know who he was. The brother said, well, I know where your level is at. You
don't know who the Dais are?
You don't know who the Dais are? The Salafi is in question. The brother called me and said, is my Salafi in question because I didn't know who Hamza Abdul-Razak is? And this is a musibah, and nobody is really wanting to talk about it. Everybody wants to skirt around it. The problem going to go away. No, the problem isn't going to go away. It's not going to go away like that. It's going to go away by us attacking the issues, not the people. And we always want love for our brothers. We still will work with our brothers. We're not saying so and so and so and so. That's not what we're doing here. We're trying to tell you that from the aqwal of the ulama, that the word salaf has a meaning, and that the word salafi has a meaning, and it has a time when it is supposed to be used and a time when it is not. Sheikh Fawzan made it clear. There's no need for us to run around here talking about we Salafi and Athari. Sheikh Al-Albani disliked to use the word Athari behind your name like that. There's no reason running around saying that. Who are you distinguishing, making that clear to? And you're not even doing it in your actions.
Sheikh Fawzan said, Laysa lahu asl. Laysa asl lahu.
And no asl for it. Don't try to take the statement of Ibn Taymiyyah and say, La aibu man adhabu mathab al-salaf.
That's not what it is.
That's not what the Sheikh meant. Majmu' Fatawa. Well, the Sheikh said there's nothing wrong with calling yourself Salafi. No, they called the person before them or behind them their peer Salafi. That scholar was Salafi.
They earned it.
They earned it because of their works. Yeah. What works did we do?
Nothing. We can't even get up for Fajr.
What works did we do?
None.
That we could run around and say, yeah, we Salafi, and stamp that on me. What works have we done?
That's almost like saying I'm a believer.
That Sheikh Fawzan was talking about
exactly.
the other day.
It's almost like saying I'm a believer. Where's inshallah?
You can't say that. And he brought a beautiful point why you can't do that. He said because the Prophet ﷺ made it clear that there are two types of hypocrisy. And the hypocrisy of the belief, the action is something that all of us might fall into.
No.
We might have deficiencies in our adherence into the Quran and the Sunnah. So why would we say unrestrictedly that we are a believer? I know there are some commands of Allah that we are being negligent towards.
No.
I know there are some commands of Allah that we are left off. I know there are some commands of the Prophet ﷺ we're being negligent towards.
No.
So why would we say without saying inshallah, or that we hope that we are believers, or we are Sunni, or we are Salafi, without making that condition here?
No.
Because we have problems. We know we have problems. That's why Allah Jalla wa Ala told us what? After saying being istiqamu, He said wastaghfiru. After telling you being upright, Allah tells you also, Sheikh for example, put this point out. He told you to seek forgiveness. Why? Because la butu minkum, what? Deficiency.
So being upon the truth doesn't necessitate being free from mistakes.
No, you're gonna fall into mistakes.
Exactly.
Now the problem is you want to make sure you don't fall into mistakes in i'tiqad, and belief, and creed.
No.
That's the problem. But when it comes to fiqh is vast. There's going to be many positions out there. I don't mean to split your hair. A brother can go down on his knees. A brother can put his hands like this. There's no need to split hairs about it. A person don't have to make wudu because his socks don't reach above his ankle. He can't make ahkam will mess over his shoes or his socks if it don't pass his ankle. No, some scholars hold the view that mahali fault is the ard. The ankle must be the place where you had to come apart. That don't mean we're going to split hairs. No. I don't take that position. Some people believe that you can't pray with your shoes on. The Prophet ﷺ said, pray with your shoes on. These things are open. Some people say, no, you can't recite Quran when you're giving the khutbah. Other scholars say, no, you can. There are room for that. There's nothing to split hairs on it.
No.
Some people say, no, we're going to go ahead for this Eid. No, I'm going to go for that Eid. It doesn't mean or necessitate that you split hairs. No one had to check in with no one. There's no one in this city or any other city for that matter that you got to check in with. You have to check in with Allah and His Messenger. فَإِن تَنَزَعْتُمْ فِي شَيْءٍ فَرُدُّوهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ إِن كُنتُمْ. Now look at the shart. تُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ وَيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ. That's the condition. If you truly believe in Allah on the last day and you dispute about anything, then you have to refer back to Allah and His Messenger. That's the only one you have to check in with. You don't got to check in with no one else. Now you might say, well, what about the scholars? The ulama are there to help us understand the text. Okay, now if you're in an Islamic country, you're going to have to submit to the rulers.
No.
You're going to have to submit to the rulers. If you're in an Islamic country, you're going to have to submit to the rulers. If you go in front of the Islamic judge, you're going to have to submit to the ruler of the Islamic judge. But do you have to submit to your local imam? Someone telling you to stay away from this place or that place just because they said it? No. They don't have that authority. They only got no authority in their own land. If the kuffar want to come in right now and round us all up and shut all our masjids down, what are we going to do? Nothing. What can we do? So let's stop acting as if we got some type of authority. We don't have no sultan. Sultan is end Allah Azza wa Jalla.
No.
Allah got the sultan. But we have to remember the aqwal of the ulama and that it's harmful for us to run around saying the statement that we are Salafi without the condition being fulfilled, knowing who are the Salaf, and without actually implementing the Dawah Salafiyya, i'tiqadan and belief, wa amalan and action, wa qawlan, with statement, wa sulukin, with in the way that we traverse upon the path, wa khuluqan, wa akhlaqan, and morals and mannerism, with ilmin, with knowledge. All of these things must be present. When you say you follow the Salaf, that means you follow them in everything. That means you don't state, you don't speak, you don't act, you don't move, you don't walk, you don't talk, unless it's in agreement with that which they came upon. When it comes to this deen.
SubhanAllah.
When it comes to this deen. If it's anything you want to do, an act of worship, an act of deed, any kindness, you want to look back at the Prophet ﷺ and his companions.
None.
And those who follow them. That's how you work. You don't look back and see if Fulan so-and-so from the Da'i tell you that it was okay to do that. Because this is how taqleed starts. Blind following. This is how hizbiyah starts. Because you start to crowd around a person other than Muhammad ﷺ. Who's ma'soom. What Sheikh Albani was saying earlier.
Yes, ma'soom. So what you do, you end up following behind people who are not ma'soom, in a group that is not ma'soom, that they tie themselves to somebody that's not ma'soom.
Exactly. All of these people got deficiencies and you tying yourself to them. Imam Malik said what? What did he say? He said that there's no one that you have to listen to their words and accept everything they say except for who? The Prophet ﷺ.
They pointed towards the Prophet.
Meaning everyone make a mistake, everyone gets it right, get it wrong, make a mistake, except the Prophet ﷺ. Why? Because we are ordered by Allah to obey him. Itlaqan, unrestrictedly. And it's seeing that we got away from that, but we call ourselves Salafis. That's not a Salaf.
The scary part is there's only one Jama'ah that will never group upon falsehood. That's the Sahaba.
Sahaba. And all those who follow their manhaj.
Exactly. So anybody today that's in a group, trust me, that group is going to fall into errors. They're not the companions. They're not the tabi'een. They're not the tabi'een. So I don't care how many of them there is. If they're not following the manhaj of those salaf, then guarantee you that not only there's going to be mistakes in their personality, there's going to be some aqa'id mistakes and some manhaj mistakes right along with it.
And anybody who sits in front of you and all they want to do is talk about the flesh of the scholars, and all they want to do is cause separation amongst the Muslims, and all they want to do is bring about distraction and so forth, is upon you as a layman. If they're not talking beneficial ilmin, beneficial knowledge, amal salih, something that can benefit you right in your life, then you can get up and leave that talk. You can leave that talk if you don't have the means to say, brother, can you get back to the topic? What did the Sheikh say? There's nothing wrong with that. It's time to start thinking and using the faculty that Allah gave you. We're calling people to wake back up. Call Allah, call a Rasulullah. Stop saying call a local imam, call a fulan da'i, call a so-and-so. Stop saying that. If you don't know the evidence where that da'i got it from, then don't quote the da'i at all. Don't quote him. Because what you're doing now is you're allowing yourself to be set up to rely on your religion based on someone who isn't a scholar in the first place. So he's not an expert in his own religion, and then you're taking him as a way of understanding your religion.
He's a beginning student of knowledge.
You don't do that. We're not taking nothing away. The brothers and anyone else who Allah Jalla wa'ala blessed to study this religion for a certain period of time, whatever like that, we all can benefit from them. We all can come together. But it's on us as laymen to stop this stuff, because we're keeping the separation going. Stop asking silly questions. Is he Salafi? If you keep waiting for the word Salafi to be used, then that means you don't understand Salafiyah.
No.
You don't understand. We just talked about it earlier. Stop waiting for someone to say Salafi. We don't have to plaster Salafiyah on nobody's walls. Your Eid is not Salafi. Your Salat, at a certain place isn't Salafi. Oh, we eating with the Salafis, and y'all over there eating with the Hizbis. Subhanallah. How you feel safe calling somebody a Hizbi?
What about the statement like Salafi masjids?
We dealt with that earlier in terms of that, is that the permissibility or the uses of calling a masjid Salafi, there are multiple scholars, alhamdulillah, they said that what's intended by that is the dawah that is being propagated from the actual masjid and not the masjid itself. And this usage was not used, this is a term that was used normally in our times and not in the times of the ulama of the past that we know of. But there are some statements that reach us from the hadith of Abdullah ibn Umar that he mentioned about going to a masjid where the dawah is being propagated at. And that's what I think the brothers actually meant But then the layman's and then some of the brothers, they went so far and they start saying, well, if the masjid don't use the word Salafi, and if the masjid isn't Salafi, then you can't go there and pray. And that's a big mistake. Because you might live right next to the masjid. And that adhan call, you have to answer that adhan. That adhan there, you hear the adhan, you have to answer because the Prophet ﷺ ordered you to do so. Now you're going to walk past that adhan and you're going to go somewhere else because you saying they are not Salafi. That's not Salafiyah. That's not Salafiyah. All of the Salafis are unanimously agree that what?
The local masjid got rights over you.
They got rights over you and that you pray behind an innovator. They all agree.
It's permissible.
Permissible.
And it's not, I don't even know what innovator they're talking about, but just the point is, it's permissible to pray behind an innovator. Even though I don't know what innovator they're talking about in Philadelphia. I don't.
That's what I
But I've prayed behind innovators before overseas. You'll pray behind a real innovator there. And it's permissible to pray behind people that say Allah is everywhere, or Allah is not above his throne, scholars. Did Don get called because the government will put Azhar scholars in the masjids to pray behind them, and these guys be having Aqidah that's
fast.
The Iman doesn't go
It's
up
corrupt.
and down, that Allah is not above his throne, but guess what? The bid'ah is to leave praying behind them and then making the prayer up again. That's innovation.
And you know the harm in that? You know why even Ahmed went so far to say that's innovation? You want to know what's the harm in that? Because what you did is separate yourself from the body of Muslims. It caused khuruj. It caused fawda. Because now that the ruler had placed someone in play, you're going against that. And you make it easier for the other people to follow along in that. Now it becomes one big set of people who's following you saying, you know what, I ain't listening to the ruler no more. I can disobey the ruler. I can disobey that. That's caused chaos.
SubhanAllah.
This is why it's order. If that ruler placed that person in front of you and he happened to be upon bid'ah,
Just pray behind them.
just pray behind him.
I get a real life situation. I was in Cairo. It's a group of young guys. They was on that manhaj of the leaders are not to be obeyed. And we shouldn't pray behind the A'immat and Masjid because they're obeying a corrupt, evil government that's left Islam. You know what they did? They would never, ever pray in any of the masjids in the country. What they did is they went, bought a house and made a masjid in that without the permission of the government. The government came, arrested them, and closed the place down. And the scholars agree that was permissible for the government to do that, to keep the ranks of the Muslims.
No, but that happened before, though. You got to go back now. What did it happen with? Shaykh Uthaymeen brings this up again. This happened with the Sahaba. The Sahaba told the Tabi'een when they was complaining about the ruler that they had in front of them, Hajjaj, Al-Thaqafi. What did he tell them?
Went to Ibn Abbas, right?
No, he went to Ibn Abbas. He went to Anas ibn Malik. And he told them, he said, be patient. Anas ibn Malik reminded, be patient with your ruler. Be patient. Those same particular young people that was rigorous and they wanted to separate from that, they all got what? They got some chained and then some got killed. Why? Because they went against the actual obeying the ruler.
You sure did.
That's why it's important that you stop saying that you're Salafi. Salafi mean you're a Salafi by your mawaqif. What is your mawqif? You're a Salafi by your ittiba'. What is your following? You're a Salafi by what? Your amal, your actions. What are you doing? You're a Salafi by your fiqh, your understanding. How do you apply? You're a Salafi by your ilm, your knowledge. This is how you're a Salafi. Not because you took the nisbah. Not because you took the ascription. That don't mean you Salafi. You can scream it out the top of your mouth.
Not because you go to a certain masjid in the city.
Just because you go to certain masjid, I know that this masjid's up here. Stop doing that. You're not Salafi because you take from a group of da'is who may or may not be deficient. Because wallahi, I tell you right now, when I was overseas, I witnessed all types of people in all types of levels. And I'm going to tell you personally, what I said to myself, when I watched those individuals over there sleeping on concrete floors, cleaning out their own stuff, sitting there trying to learn, traveling from their land, I said to myself, I'm used to all types of comfort back in America. This Talib al-Ilm might not be for me. Talib al-Ilm might not be for me. You have to be real with yourself.
Be real, Sheikh.
Because you have to study. And you start seeing the different levels of people.
No, you start seeing different.
People who got kutub al-sitta in their breasts,
SubhanAllah,
along with the Quran. And you following behind people who you putting on these big pedestals who don't even got a 1/3 of that.
One science. They even
One science. There are brothers that inshallah ta'ala can help us with some translation and may Allah reward them.
I mean,
but we don't take them and put them above a status that's not there. We don't put them above a status like that. You have people out here who's really, really holding, really, really understanding. Allah blessed them with fiqh, knowledge. And these people we are overlooking, we're not taking. And last but not least, I wanted to mention this. May Allah Jalla wa Ala do not break the backs of our particular brothers. But I want to mention this, inshallah ta'ala, about Brother Tahir White. So that any individuals that y'all know that, inshallah ta'ala, that Masjid Ibn Tyamiyyah, that in terms, we do not take any stance against people because we're supposed to just take stance because someone tell us. We invite anyone to bring any evidence that, you know, that is substantiated that we should not take from individuals and so forth. And if so, and if the evidence agree with the Quran and the Sunnah, we'll be the first ones to accept it. We have not taken a stance because we didn't see any evidence that was presented. So that don't mean that we didn't take the stance because we only wanted to go against Germantown. That's a rumor that's going on. No, we did not take a stance because we want to go against Germantown. We want to start our own stuff. We just want to be known. That's not true. Okay, that's not true. We're not saying we didn't take a stance. We didn't take a stance because we did not see the evidence that was clear enough to say stay away from these particular individuals. And one statement of a scholar, because it can be a statement of a scholar that's not based upon any evidence, but it can be based off of hearsay, whatever the case may be, we didn't deem that to be that. Now on the flip side of that, our beloved brother, you have to think about what happened. Not only he memorized the Quran itself, and we know the statements, the Khawarij memorized the Quran, they didn't go past their throat. But this is different here. Not only he memorized the Quran himself, his son memorized the Quran, his daughter memorized the Quran, and I believe one report say that his wife. So now you got a whole family of Hufal that is from the West. Now we're not going to stop there, because some people say, well, anybody can do that. People upon Bid'ah, they got degrees and stuff like that. Okay, not only that, now Allah Jalla wa'ala blessed this man to remain in the lands of the Muslims for between 18 to 20 years. I don't know Tahir personally. Wallahi, I don't. I never had a cup of coffee with him. I only spoke to him briefly when he came by. I don't know him personally. But the fact that Allah Jalla wa'ala had placed this barakah in this man's life, that he met scholars on the Sunnah. Sheikh Rabi'a had a special seat for him in his house. Sheikh Ubaid hold a special heart for him in his heart. Sheikh Muhammad al-Mahadi used to ask about him, where is the brother Tahir White? Why? Because they all was endeared. They knew that he had. Sheikh Salih Rahim said he had the best suluk from the West that he knew of. Aqidatan, amalan, right? Mannerism. And then what do Allah do?
Sheikh Musa al-Abbad said he's from us now.
Sheikh Musa al-Abbad. Sheikh Abdul Razak, when he was asked a question, what should we do? A group of brothers from here, they wanted to ask the Sheikh a question. Sheikh Muhsin's son, Sheikh Abdul Razak al-Abbad. Hafidullah, they asked him a question. He said, why would you ask me when Tahir is right there? Pointed to him, because there was in Medina when they asked, in the Prophet's Masjid. He said, Tahir is right there. To the point that scholars have vouched for the brother, and that the king have allowed him to teach in the Prophet's Masjid. That's not a small feat. That was the hand of Allah involved in there.
We can't take from our brother.
But we can't
He's
take
from North Philly, from one of the worst neighborhoods in America. He's from a ghetto that's known for crime and drugs and killing. Allah brought him out of that and made him a scholar.
When he was getting ready to sign a record deal, Allah allowed him to go overseas, not to accept the sign of the record deal. And look how long he's been over there. People that sponsor him. And we can't be strong enough to defend our brothers. Why? Because we allow when people come in and tell us and put doubts in our hearts that this so-and-so. My Salafi is not in question because I respect our brother Tahir. And if our brother Tahir is upon error, I don't agree with his error. If he's upon it, but show some evidence. And if he's so, I'm still not going to take away the fact that Allah Jalla wa'ala still blessed him with a certain amount of things. It's still ihtiram there. There's still some respect there.
Everybody may err in religion except for the Prophet.
Sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Everybody.
We have to stop acting like that. Get back to really taking from the people that we need to learn from and benefit from. And inshallah ta'ala, we can start practicing Salafiyah the way Salafiyah is. Because we accept the haqq no matter where it comes from.
No doubt. That's what we say.
That's Salafiyah.
Separate from.
No matter where it comes from, we accept the haqq. And we are not divided because certain masjids are on this side of West and this masjid is over here. Stop running around talking about is the masjid Salafi. Again, something wrong with your understanding if you keep asking that same question. If you can't tell about the way they move, the way they talk, the way they walk, that they are Salafi, people like to quote Sheikh Rabi'a's statement, that you can tell a person, if a person is even a teacher in arithmetic, right? You can see Salafiyah in his teaching. This is what the Sheikh said. But for a person who doesn't have a keen eye, he wouldn't understand what the Sheikh meant.
No.
Why? Because he's talking about his akhlaq is in an agreement. The way that he moved, his methodology, all of that is in agreement.
If you've never been around Salafi, how you gonna know what it look like?
How you gonna know what it look like?
If you've never been around it, if you always just been around a hizb or a cult or a mentality that wasn't Salafiyah, you wouldn't know what it looked like anyway. So, I mean, for example, me look at our brother Mufti, may Allah preserve him. Our brothers from Abu Sajid or Ali Davis from the Thamarat. These brothers done Allah, they raised them, Philadelphia, he raised them out of this. Raised them out of Philadelphia. They went overseas, benefited, learned, came back to teach their people. They were met with what? Criticism and attacks.
And that's a part of their trial.
Yep.
That's a part of their trial. But guess what? Don't listen to the bark and howl. Benefit from these particular brothers. Don't listen to the bark and howl of people. And when people are akran, you need to understand this principle that people are not telling you. They're not telling you when they come back. When people are close contemporaries, that's like if me and Eesaa have a fallout and he go give dawah somewhere and he's speaking ill of me and I'm speaking ill of him when I'm giving dawah. And then the problem is you don't take none of the kalam. You don't take my kalam personally. You don't take his kalam personally. Why? Because we're associates. So anything could have happened. That could become personal.
No.
So why would I listen to Jamil Finch talk about Ali Davis?
I'm not listening to that.
Why? They were close friends. I'm not listening to that. Why would I listen to Ali Davis talk about Jamil Finch? I'm not listening to that. Let's talk about creed. Let's talk about minhaj. If it's minhaj, if it's creed, then let's talk about that.
Exactly.
Let's talk about that. That's what I want to listen to. Brother Jamil, I mean nothing about it, but listen, I don't want to hear that. Bring me some evidence if that's the case. Ain't a dalil. Brother Ali, if you got evidence against the brother, bring it. If not, we're going to benefit from the knowledge that Allah bless you with. Let's open the books and let's listen to that.
No.
Not so-and-so isn't Salafi or so-and-so. And everybody that spread that document, that what they call a so-called refutation of our brother Ali Davis, y'all going to take the blame of that. Just like the Prophet was telling about the people who dealt with wine. There's 10 type of people who are cursed with wine. And we're not saying that you're cursed. We're saying that you take a claim in the sheer responsibility of spreading that. Because Jamil Finch isn't a scholar. That's number one. So you didn't have to spread his works because he could be wrong in that. He don't get a reward if he's wrong in that. The scholar get a reward if he's wrong in that. The hakam, meaning the judge, if he's making a ruling. Jamil Finch don't. And we're not saying that he's wrong or he's right, but we're saying don't spread it because if it's personal, you don't want to be involved in that. You want to be involved with what's good. And inshallah ta'ala, we invite anyone down here. We invite all of the brothers down here. We can sit down with some tea. If we want to call the ulama, we can call the ulama. But let's start calling the people back to Salafiyah. And anybody that's going to pawn the Salafiyah other than the Salafiyah that is true, we're chasing you up out of here. Inshallah ta'ala, with the haqq that Ibn Qayyim said. The kitab was sunnah fahma salaf. Not with fists, not with guns, not with anything else, but with the surah wahi. And we're going to keep coming at the characteristics of these type of people so we can wake up our people from this slumber, inshallah ta'ala. And inshallah ta'ala, have blessed Ramadan. And by the way, we do have iftar here at Masjid Ibn Tyamiyyah tonight. Jazakallah khair.